Okay. And the bag that I got my comics in is being loud because the fan is like moving it around. Alright, so stop it. You're making sound, you're annoying me. Alright. Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everyone doing? I finally have my green beanie. You'd never guess where it was. Well, you might guess where it was. It was in my backpack. It was in the bottom of my backpack for like several weeks. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry I started a little late. I hope you saw in my announcement earlier my reasons for starting later. I've gotten back into skateboarding because it's finally getting warmer, and I just haven't really I haven't skated or skate. I guess skate is already past tense. I haven't been on my skateboard in forever, and I wanted to try it again, and I think I overdid it yesterday because the entire day my leg has just been and that it was really bad a couple hours ago, not fun. Josiah, hey, what's up, Josiah? How you doing, buddy? Josiah says, "What's up, broski?" Not much, fam. Not much. Family. Corona and family. I was gonna say Justin Lin should do a superhero movie, but James Wan also did some of the Fast and Furious movies, and he's doing Aquaman. So we're already getting a Fast and Furious style superhero movie, and it's, the more I think about Aquaman, yeah, no, that's definitely a Fast and Furious cape shit movie, and I like it a lot. It's really fun. But yeah, no. Hey, Tristan, what's up? How you doing, bud? Let's see the books that you got, because you always drop in the books you got. Were 10 Deaths of Wolverine #5, Ben Reilly #3 that did come out this week. What If Miles Morales #1. I forgot that came out this week. I didn't see it on the shelves at my store. It might have sold out before I got there though. Strange #1. Is that the new Doctor Strange book with Clea? Yeah, let me know. I don't know. I'm out of the loop there. I haven't been keeping up with Doctor Strange for a while. I really liked that Jason Aaron run, and then the Mark Waid series happened, and I just kind of lost all interest in keeping up with Doctor Strange. Yeah, no, let me know what you thought of Strange #1. I've heard some conflicting things on it, but I've heard a lot of the positives have been really positives, and stuff that at the very least sound like they're good for me. And She-Hulk #1, the second print. Yeah, nice. I'm glad you got your hands on that. I like that first issue a lot. Rainbow Rose, not for everybody. She definitely has a style and a niche, but I think her style kind of works with She-Hulk, and in Marvel, kind of how do I say this? In the standard Marvel kind of synergy fare, I think this is probably what the Disney Plus show's gonna resemble. But yeah, no, I quite enjoyed the first issue. I hope you do too. Let's see. Before I get to my comics though, I do wanna do the thing that I should do before I hit go live, and tell everybody on the internet that we're live. But that's why you come to this show, right? For the professionalism. Yeah, I say as my phone chirps. No, shut up. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Don't you love when you try to hit the volume button and you hit the Wi-Fi button instead? Smart. Alright, so Cool. Stream is shared. What's up? All right. I don't know why I said what's up, like I'm talking to somebody. But all right, let's get back to the chat. Tristan says, yes, Strange is about Clea being the new Sorcerer Supreme. Okay, that's an interesting status quo. I wonder if they do something with if they'll do something with the status quo where Steven from the 1960s, like Steve Ditko era, is in this current timeline. I wonder if they'll do a thing where like they meet, or like him and Clea meet, kind of in a sort of similar fashion to the Bendis. I can't remember the artist on that, but it was definitely Bendis. It might have been Pepe Larraz. So Bendis and Pepe Larraz, like the all new X-Men status quo, which I actually liked the beginning of. I know everyone likes to look back and say that's like one of the worst things ever, but I genuinely kind of dug the beginning of that story. I just think that it got dragged out too long. Although I think that's an issue that the X-Men have had consistently. And that's my big fear with the whole like House of X, Powers of X, Krakoa era status quo. I think one of the big problems that the series is going to run into, or not the series, the brand is going to run into, is the status quo is just gonna drag when it really wasn't meant to be a big status quo. It was like part one of like an ongoing story that Hickman was gonna tell and wrap up. Going back to what we were talking about with Sorcerer Supreme though, with Clea, again, I think that's an interesting status quo that I hope doesn't, I don't want to say tainted, because I think that's a little too extreme, but I hope it doesn't like fall in its face because it runs on too long, or like where it's at its welcome. And Tristan says, yesterday I donated to the George Perez family at my comic store, and I got a ticket for the JLA Avengers book. That's sweet. Nice, man. Hey, good job. I'm glad you're able to potentially get a copy of that book, but also really good that you're donating to the Perez family. That's what's up. They really need it right now. And then Tristan later on goes to say the all new X-Men team was Bendis and Stuart Immonen. Okay. And yeah, Immonen and Larraz's work do look very similar. Yeah, I wonder if Pepe Larraz studied under Immonen. I can totally see that happening. Yeah, no. Before I go any further, let me talk about some of the comics that I picked up this week. So, first book that I got is Captain America Iron Man. This is the conclusion to this miniseries. Unfortunately, I have not read this issue yet. Just a lot's been going on today. But I've really been digging this series, and I hope that this issue is like a satisfying conclusion. It's not a big, like, we're gonna change hearts and minds kind of thing. I don't feel like this is meant to blow the doors down. I feel like this is a story that's made for people who are just kind of having a hankering for some classic Captain America and classic Iron Man, because the comics for the longest time haven't been classic Captain America and classic Iron Man. This feels like that kind of book. Like in the same way that like the Walmart Superman books under like Tom King and then like later Robert Venditti. That's for Superman fans who are desperate for like classic Superman. Because the Superman books haven't been classic Superman for God knows how long. which we'll talk about. This feels like that. This feels like, again, not gonna blow the doors down, but it's a really fun series, and this will definitely be like stuff that would be kind of considered like a prize. If you like go back issue diving, back issue diving, in like the next couple of years. So yeah, no, I'm still well, I haven't read it yet, but like I enjoyed the series a lot so far. I hope issue 5 lives up to my expectations and so on my hype. And yeah, let me just take a little peek. Oh yeah, okay, like look at this art. I like this art a lot. It gives me hard like Kafu vibes, even though it's definitely not Kafu. But yeah, like stuff like this is just like really kind of fun and cool. I like it a lot. I'm also spoiling the hell out of this comic for myself as I'm flipping through it. But like, I'm not really like reading it that deeply. I'm just kind of looking at the pretty pictures and disregarding some of the. Oh, yeah. Well, I spoiled that for myself. I'm gonna put this down so I stop spoiling myself for that comic I want to read later. But the next big book that I got on my list is Rogues #1. Now, this is a book that I was really excited for because you guys know me. I'm a big Flash fan. The Flash is my favorite DC Comics superhero, and actually probably my favorite superhero in general. Well, no, Spider-Man's my favorite superhero in general. The Flash is like a close second. So the Flash is like my second favorite superhero ever. And I was really excited to get a book about the Rogues because I feel like the Rogues are such a painfully just underappreciated like institution within the DC universe, within DC lore. I feel like the Rogues get overshadowed by like the Batman Rogues Gallery and Lex Luthor. And yeah, that's about it. But still, I think the Rogues get like overshadowed, unfortunately. And I was glad to like get a book that was just about them. Because as much as I love the Flash, I love these characters. I love the Rogues. Although this book does kind of add a few characters that aren't traditionally on the Rogues, because some of the Rogues apparently die. I don't think that's like a big spoiler for anyone who like hasn't read the book yet. But this is like the best way I can describe this comic is that if it was a movie, it'd be one of those like, this is the last big heist kind of movies, That's what this comic is. It's this is the final score, like Ocean's 11. Although I don't think Ocean's 11 was supposed to be the final score in that film franchise. I think Ocean's 13 was. But yeah, this is like an Ocean's 13 kind of thing where it's like, final score, we're gonna go big or go home. We're the Rogues. And it's kind of a character piece for Captain Cold, who again, you know what? I was gonna say Captain Cold's like underrated and like undervalued, but like he gets a lot of play. Like no, Lenny does get a lot of play. I'm not gonna do that like hyperbolic like victim complex fan thing that a lot of fans do. But yeah, no, like this book was really fun. The art surprised me because with this being a Black Label book, I thought the art was gonna be something more along the lines of like a Lee Bermejo or something a little gritty like that, or even like the Harley Quinn Joker book where it's that like ultra realistic art style. But no, this is comic booky and fun. Like this is kind of like something that you'd probably see in just a monthly Flash comic. Let me see who the artist is for this, because I did not look that up. This is Leo Max. Wow, so you're like one of those one-name people, like Zendaya, or Prince, or Stan Lee. Like, you don't have a last name. Cool. Wow, alright, well, sweet. But yeah, Leo Max does a really good job with the art in here. Really fun. Like, just look at stuff like this. This is gorgeous. Again, not the art style that I was expecting, but it still really fits for the piece. It feels like a Flash book, but it also feels a little grittier than a Flash book because we're seeing this from the Rogue's perspective. Not that we haven't had books like that before. Jeff Johns used to do that a lot in his series. Yeah, no, this book's really good, and it does warrant being a Black Label comic, which is something that I don't think some of the other Black Label books do. Not to say that I don't like them. Like Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, it's cool that that is a Black Label book, but like, it could have just made that a Supergirl story. I don't know. Or even like Superman and Lobo. That's one of those books that feels like it's just, if it came out like 20 years ago, it would just be a 6-issue story arc in the pages of like Action Comics or something like that. I don't know. I mean, still good. It's just, you know, I don't know why there was such a prestige put on it. But this doesn't feel like that. This definitely feels gritty. There's an element of prestige to it. It's hard to explain. This feels cinematic while also not feeling cinematic, if that makes any sense. Like, there's a prestige to this title, but it also doesn't feel like it's trying to be a movie as opposed to a comic. It feels like it's embracing the fact that it is a comic book and takes place in a comic book universe and using comic book characters to tell that story. I really like this. Again, if you're a big Flash fan, I highly recommend checking this out. If you're a big DC fan, I highly recommend checking this out. If you like heist stuff, you know, like the Ocean's movies, or like what the Fast and Furious franchise turned into, yeah, no, I highly recommend this. This is really fun. Wow, just great to see Flash characters that aren't Reverse Flash. Or like, insert speedster here being utilized. Really fun. I dug it a lot. But yeah, let's get to some questions or some chats, because I've been talking for God knows how long. Adam QNO. Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Did I pronounce your name properly? I'm sorry. My inner high school English teacher came out. I just butchered the hell out of your name. My bad. But Adam says, hello, Mystical. I see the legendary green beanie has returned. Yes, I found it. It was in my backpack this whole time. Which means it smells abominable. But I'm wearing it for you guys. I'm wearing it for the show. God, I can't wait to watch this when this episode is over. Supreme Omega. Hey, what's up, Supreme? How you doing? Great name, by the way. That's awesome. Hey, Green Beanie. Love your vids. Thank you. Question. Does Spider-Man really have a no-kill rule? I mean, if he pissed Peter off, he is willing to cross the line. Just look at how he brutally beat up the Sin Eater. Well, it's complicated. Peter Parker doesn't have, like, a no-kill rule in the sense that, like, Batman has a no-kill rule. Pete just doesn't do it. If that makes any sense. It's more like Superman. Like, Superman doesn't have a no-kill rule. He just generally doesn't kill people. Spider-Man's the same way. But Spider-Man's the same way for a couple of reasons. The first being, he has really bad press already. Like, the cops don't like Spider-Man. The media doesn't like Spider-Man. half of New York doesn't like Spider-Man. Pete really doesn't need to go around killing people. And also just Pete is not a hyper vengeful kind of guy. You know, like he's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He doesn't kill people. Just, you know, that would defeat the purpose of being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So yeah, he doesn't have like a no-kill rule, but he just generally doesn't do it. But I definitely think it would depend on the situation. But yeah, yeah. Welcome to the stream, and thanks for thanks for the comment. Comment, yes, but thanks for the compliment too. Adam says or asks, much rather, favorite Flash villain and why. Golden Glider, because Coom. No. Well, yes, but no. You know, as much as I kind of dogged on speedster villains, I actually really like, Hunter Zolomon, the Reverse Flash. I think he's really cool. Just his whole story is really fascinating, and his pathos is amazing and kind of like evergreen. I know that sounds like buttery, but no, it's really difficult to create villains, or like new villains, much rather, that have staying power. Hunter Zolomon is like one of the last supervillains that I think was introduced that had staying power. Yeah, and I really like him as a villain. He's great. But if you meant just like among the rogues, I love Captain Boomerang. Like, I don't know what it is. I really like Captain Boomerang. I think he's really fun. He's a fun character. So yeah, of the rogues, Captain Boomerang is my favorite Flash villain, or rogue, much rather. But like, just villains in general, Hunter Zolomon, like 1,000%. But also that's probably because Wally West is my favorite Flash. So yeah, there's my bias there. Tevia, hello Tevia, what's up, buddy? How you doing? What did you pick up this week? Adam says, I remember in a response you made to one of my comments and mentioned that Static was one of your favorite comic book characters. What did you think about the cartoon, and did you read the Milestone comics? So officially on the record, I've never read the Milestone Static comics because they haven't been in publication for 15 years. But unofficially, they're really good. From what I've been told. From what I've been told. They're really good. Hypothetically, theoretically, if I've read them somehow, I would say that they're really good. And to piggyback off a point that I made last week regarding Kamala Khan, ever since Spider-Man came onto the scene, everybody in the comics publishing industry has just been trying their hardest to make their own Spider-Man. And all of those attempts have been in vain because all of the Spider-Man attempts that everyone else kind of like tried their hand at were like awful. But then Static comes along, and like I legitimately think, again, hypothetically, that Static grabbed the baton from Spider-Man and said, I am the new like gold standard for like teen superhero storytelling in comics, which was then picked up by Kamala Khan, but then dropped sadly because I think Kamala Khan is in a bit of a slump right now. But no, dude, like I really like Static. I think he's a really cool character, and I like the show a lot. I think the show is really fun. It's very different from the comics, but like I also don't know in 2000 like 2 or 3 whenever that show came out how you adapt those comics to a Saturday morning cartoon format aimed at what, like 6 to 10 for your demographic. Like I don't know how you adapt those comics and make them like child friendly without kind of like, you know, really watering down the product. And I don't mean that in like a bad way. It's just, you know, it's the same reason why like the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show, for all intents and purposes, is Ultimate Spider-Man. With a lot of 616 in there, with a lot of Steve Ditko in there, but like for the most part, it's Ultimate Spider-Man. But it's not straight up Ultimate Spider-Man because you can't do straight up Ultimate Spider-Man for children. But yeah, no, I really like the static comics. I think they're really fun. Again, hypothetically. As well as the TV show. I really like the TV show. It's really fun. I've been watching that on HBO Max. It's a lot of fun. Tevia says, I love the Jeremy Adams Flash run. I have not been. Oh my god. Give me 1 second. I'm going to. I'm using my laptop. Because my desktop. Fudge. There we go. Okay. We're good. We're golden. Yeah. Sorry, I've been having like troubles trying to like stream off of my desktop, so I'm doing it off my laptop, which I forgot to plug in earlier. Ow, that hurt my leg too. Ugh, not fun. Tevia was talking about the Jeremy Adams Flash run. I'm gonna check it out in trade. I just wasn't insanely impressed by the first couple of issues that I read. I read up to the daddy-daughter like dance issue. Yeah, I thought it was really cute, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think the Jeremy Adams Flash run is really solid, comfortable Flash fare for Flash fans, which I think is all that book kind of needs to be right now, because Flash fans have really been riding through the ringer for the past couple of years. So just getting something comfy and fun and familiar it's all good. It's all good. It's just I don't see a point in paying like, you know, $4 for that kind of material, despite how good it is. Yeah, I don't know. One of the guys on that I follow on Twitter was saying that it was like really good. He was really hyping it up. So yeah, I'll check it out. Because he said like the last issue was really good. I think his name's like Tyler. Twitter handle Tyler's in there somewhere, but I don't remember the whole handle. And Supreme Omega says, Miss Marvel question. How come you like Kamala Khan and Bruno together? Okay. Okay. Because most fans are annoyed by their will they won't they romantic tension. To me, they are better off as friends. I like them because I think the tension's really cute. I think it's fun. I also like the conflict that they get into. Between like a conflict of interest. That was one of the positive takeaways from the Civil War II event that Kamala was kind of dragged into just by virtue of being tangentially connected to Carol Danvers as a character and that legacy. I really kind of like the romantic tension there. I think it's really cute. I just hope it's not drawn out too long. But if I recall, the end of the G. Willow Wilson series resolves that, right? I hope I'm not like spoiling anything. Well, I can't spoil something that I don't know, but like, I'm asking here, like, doesn't G. Willow Wilson kind of like resolve that romantic tension? Don't they like get together? I thought so, at least. But I don't know. Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's really cute. But that's also the past couple of years. My girlfriend's like introduced me to like a lot of like slice of life anime, and a lot of the Miss Marvel comics just kind of have that like comfy, like, rom-com kind of feel to it, and it's cute. I like it. Don't judge me. I think it's adorable. And that's why I ship Cabruno. That's what I'm going to call them. They're Cabruno. Adam says, do you like Jeff Johns' Flash run? My favorite Flash runs are Messenger, Loeb's, Wade, Barron, and Grant Morrison and Mark Millar's run. I like all of those runs as well. But no, I just think that Jeff Johns kind of took everything that was like established and in like present in the Flash canon that was built up by Mark Waid, and then kind of like toyed with and subverted by Mark Millar and Grant Morrison, and really took the character and grew him up. I mean, that was a big part of what Mark Waid was doing, but like Jeff Johns really like grew up the character of Wally West. That's part of the reason why I like a lot of early Jeff Johns work, because that was like the point of what I think Jeff Johns was trying to do. Like take the DC universe and take those Silver Age concepts and make it more, I don't want to say adult, but like, just put a little twist on it and like wipe away some of the rose tint and be like, Silver Age stuff, it's cool, it's cute, but look at it this way. And that's what I really liked about what Jeff Johns was doing in his early career, and that's what I really like about Jeff Johns' run on The Flash in particular. Really good stuff, and again, still probably my favorite Flash run, just in general. But that's not to say that I don't like any of the other Flash runs. I have a extreme fondness for the Jeff Johns and Howard Porter stuff. Tevia, Spider-Man question. Any opinion on Ben Reilly's story coming to a close at the end of the Beyond story? Thank Jesus, because I can't wait to read Spider-Man again. I hope that answers your question. Adam says Flash villains are better than Captain America villains. I said it. Is that a hot take? I don't know. Captain America doesn't have a lot of great villains. I don't think. Like the Serpent Society, I guess, maybe. They're cool. No, okay, no. Baron Zemo's really good. I like the Zemo family. I like that Zeno kind of like dynamic. I think it's really good. I like Zemo. Like that legacy is really good. And I like Red Skull. I think Red Skull's a really good villain. But like, but I don't know. That feels like an apples and oranges kind of comparison to me. Because Captain America villains just kind of are something so like fundamentally different. I think a better comparison. No, not to say better comparison. I will raise you the comparison of Flash villains versus Spider-Man villains, because I think there's a lot of similarities there. But yeah, no. I do agree though. I think the Flash is better villains than Captain America. And Adam Quano says, "You said my last name correctly." Okay, sweet, nice, cool. Thanks for putting my anxiety at ease. Tevia says, "I really don't want Peter Parker to be the Punisher." Yeah, and I don't think he is. But I don't know. I think the idea of mortality at the hands of superheroes in particular is often seen as something that's like very binary. You know? Either, superheroes don't kill, and if they do kill, well then they're supervillains and they're bad guys now, because that's what separates good guys and bad guys. But I don't know. I think things are a little more complicated than that in terms of like storytelling. Because I think people are nuanced. The reasons why if Superman kills a supervillain, I would not consider that the same as when the Punisher runs around shooting people in the face. Like, it's not the same thing. Like, there's like a core fundamental difference there. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think a lot of discourse around like superheroes and like the no-kill rule is just, it lacks a lot of nuance, just in general. But that's a topic that I think like warrants like an entire video. So I'll keep that one in my back pocket. I don't know why I just did that. On camera, no less. This is me without tea. Oh, wow. This is like the first stream I've done with like no tea. I drank water earlier, but that doesn't count. Yeah, nope. I'm gonna move on. Let's see. Adam, you're me right about Spider-Man. He's not a hardened, gritty hero. He's squishy and goofy. Well, that depends. Kind of. I kind of agree. I think the character that Peter plays is intentionally squashy and goofy, despite the world around him. Because Spider-Man, if I'm gonna make like a layman's comparison, Spider-Man lives in like the Netflix Daredevil world. Like if the Daredevil Netflix show is supposed to be like a representation of what Daredevil comics are like, which I think they accurately do represent. Because I think Netflix Daredevil is like the best comic book adaptation just in general. Or no, it's the best live action comic book adaptation, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Spider-Man lives in that world. Like that same exact world where like the Kingpin is, decapitating dudes with car doors, and you got people living in tenements doing heroin and stuff like that. Like, no, Spider-Man does live in that world. It's just we see a lot of those stories from the perspective of Peter Parker, and Peter Parker is looking at the world a little differently than Matt Murdock, just because they're different people, and Matt Murdock can't see because he's blind. But more importantly than that, Matt's a lawyer. He, interacts with the world a little differently than Peter does, who is, for the most part, a college student, and later a teacher's assistant, and then later just like a teacher. So yeah, I don't know. I think Spider-Man is squashy and goofy, but like, the world around him shouldn't. Like, the world around him should be kind of like gritty and kind of dark. So yeah. Supreme Omega says, now, does Daredevil have no kill rule? I mean, he did torture Bullseye in the Bendis run and overthrow the Kingpin. Well, yes, Daredevil does have a no kill rule because Daredevil is Catholic. Matt Murdock is a deeply religious character. It's a funny term that like my buddy brings up for political stuff, but like he talks about how sometimes people are like conveniently Christian sometimes. Matt Murdock is very conveniently Catholic. He picks and chooses which commandments he wants to live by, because Lord knows he does not abide by the one about committing adultery, or envy, or lust, or like any of the other kind of commandments. But like, thou shalt not kill. That's like a big thing for Matt. So Matt doesn't kill people. So yeah, Matt Murdock has a no kill rule. He doesn't kill people. He'll torture them. He'll mess them up bad. He put like Bullseye in a traction in like the middle of the Frank Miller and Klaus Janson run. And as you said, he's tortured Bullseye, and he like overthrew the Kingpin pretty violently, might I add. So no, Matt will mess people up, but he won't kill anybody. That's like a big part of his character. Adam says, I agree on Zolomon. I preferred him in the Johns era. He had a point, but had an obsessive idea of morality, and it made him unique and scary. I agree. I think Hunter is really scary. And I like when he's in other stuff too, put against other heroes. I would love to see Hunter Zolomon go against Batman. Like, I'd be fascinated to see what that looks like. Or Superman. Because Hunter has that whole thing about wanting heroes to be better than themselves. Or, at least that's what he says. Really, Hunter just likes to torture people. But I would be fascinated to see, especially in this, like, current status quo era, where, like, Superman has, like, a public identity, and, like, he's ascended to being this like mythical character who lives in an ice castle over Metropolis in the heart of the city, and like his identity is public, and he's kind of like this like super god. Like, now, given that status quo, I would be interested to see Hunter Zolomon kind of approach Superman as an antagonist, as a sort of like, let's make God bleed kind of idea. I would like that, but also Batman, because I think you could do a lot of really interesting stuff with Batman, who's a character who's all about being a hero despite everything that's held against him. Both internally and externally. So I'd really like to see Hunter Zolomon try to like break Batman, and like see him get to a point where like he just kind of quits. To like test his mettle, to like see if he's worthy of being a superhero. That'd be interesting. But no, just in general, I like Hunter Zolomon. I think he's a really fascinating character. Let's see. Tevia says, any opinion on War for Earth 3? Because for me, I found the crossover to be really unnecessary. Well, I felt that way after reading the first part, so I didn't read beyond that. And Tevye says, Sideways I found to be an interesting Spider-Man ripoff. I agree. I would love to see somebody do something with Sideways. I think it's kind of criminal that DC put out a Titans Academy comic and Sideways is not a part of it. Like, what? Who's asleep at the wheel here? Like, come on. Is it just like a weird, I don't know, like a pride thing with Dan DiDio leaving and, you know, Sideways being a Dan DiDio character? I don't know. Is it weird, like, office politics? Is that why Sideways isn't being utilized? It would suck if it was, because I think Sideways is really fun. I don't know. I really like the dynamic between Sideways and I can't remember her name, so I'm just gonna call her like Skinny Eilish, because she's like Billie Eilish, but like, oh, did I mess up my okay, so looks like I'm no longer being captured because I messed up my. Can you guys still hear me? Hold on a second. My bad. Technical difficulties. What? Okay, hold on a second. This is insane. Okay, there we go. We're back. I don't know what happened. But yeah, we lost me for a second. Weird. Okay. But I believe we were talking about Hunter Solomon? No, we were talking about Sideways. Just the beauty of live streaming, you know. We witness these fuck ups live, and then we witness just everyone going back to status quo, just like comics. So, yeah, no, I really like Sideways, and I hope DC like finds a way to properly utilize him in the future, because I think there's a lot of potential with that character. More so than some of the other characters that were created during the new age of heroes. Adam says, I actually read the Milestone comics currently. Oh, I actually read the Milestone comics currently. And they have their ways. The books are very strong. I'm amazed how the cartoon told his story and it was put in cartoon. Dude, I agree. Yeah, dude, like the static stuff is translated not like 100% accurately, because there's no way you can, translate that, subject matter 100% accurately. At least for like the demographics that they were kind of trying to reach for on Cartoon Network. But nah, dude, like I really like the Static cartoon. I thought it did a really good job of like hitting the notes that needed to be hit. I still think giving Virgil a dead mom is unnecessary. Part of the appeal of Static for me was that Virgil is legitimately a regular kid living a regular, ordinary, like, suburbanite life. In a lot of ways, he's like the anti-Spider-Man. I think that's really interesting. But I don't know. I still like the show a great deal. Weird, dead mom, but you can't make you can't make his friend gay. Richie. I don't know why I said Guy for a second in my head, but I put the pieces together as Guy Ritchie. I don't know, weird. Maybe that says more about me than anything else, but yeah. Yeah, no, I'm confused by that sometimes. You can't do gay people, but you can do dead parents. Weird. Strange sensibilities. Also, some of the places that show goes in like regards to like race, also weird. But you can't do gay people. Okay, sure. Yeah. Supreme Omega asks, have you read Ann Nesenti's run on Daredevil from the late 80s? She created Typhoid Mary, because it's an underrated run and Chip Zdarsky is a huge fan. I have not read the entirety of Ann Nesenti and John Romita Jr.'s run on Daredevil. I know what happens in it. I just haven't read it all. Those epic collections are really expensive. And unfortunately, back when I was working at a comic book store, I did read a lot of comics there. When I was like bored and like had nothing else to do, when all the work was like finished. I never got around to reading the Ann Nesenti Daredevil stuff, and I really kind of regret that. Because I hear a lot of people like rave about how it's honestly kind of better than the Miller and Jansen stuff. But I also think they're doing like very different things, so I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait to check that out. At least from what I've seen from the Ann Nesenti run, in terms of tone, it's like right up my alley. So I definitely can't wait to check some of that stuff out. Tevye says I love the Static Show cartoon. I did too. Adam says, what's funny is that the creator of the Milestone version of Static admitted that Spider-Man was the blueprint for his character. I mean, trying to deny it would be like Jay-Z trying to deny that, like, his daughter is his. Like, bro, it's pretty obvious. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Tevye says, I love the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show because it was everything that I ever wanted as a Spider-Man fan. Same here. I really like it. It's a really good blending of 616 and Ultimate. Like, legitimately taking the best of both universes and, like, fusing them together. Really good stuff. Adam says, it's criminal how Spectacular Spider-Man got canceled. I agree. And the worst part is, it's not even like Young Justice, where Young Justice got canceled because of, like, low toy sales. That's really stupid and petty. But, like, at least Young Justice was able to come back. And there's always a way for it to come back. With Spectacular Spider-Man, that show's never gonna come back because it's caught up in like weird legal shenanigans. It's just that's pure pain. That's pure pain. Yeah. And Tavia says it's criminal how then we got the horrible Ultimate Spider-Man TV show. Yeah, I've come around on it actually recently. It's not. I think the problem that Ultimate Spider-Man has is that it's in comparison to the Spectacular Spider-Man. No. But on its own, just as a series, it's fun. It's fine. It's the Spider-Man equivalent to Batman: Brave and the Bold. You know, it's a show that is intentionally designed to open a younger audience's eyes to the larger Marvel Universe as a whole through the lens of Spider-Man. And for that, I think the show's pretty fun. It's not Spectacular Spider-Man, but it's still pretty fun. Tevye says, any opinion on the 10 Deaths of Wolverine? Because I read the finale of that train wreck and reviewed it on my channel, and it was so bad. Damn, that sucks. I haven't read it. Honestly, I just haven't felt all that interested in checking out Wolverine right now. You know, like Benjamin Percy's a really good writer. You know, and so is Charles Soule. So are a lot of people working at Marvel right now, but I just don't. Given the sensibilities that a lot of modern writers have, I just don't feel all that driven to read to read Wolverine. Hopefully my biases are like leading me astray, but I don't know. That's just where I'm at right now. Supreme Omega. Another Miss Marvel comment. Fans prefer Kamala's other friends, Nakia and Zoe, with their sad, unrecorded lesbian drama. Thoughts? I like it. You know, I like I like Nakia and Zoe's relationship, or their forbidden kind of relationship. I like it a lot. I'm not sure I know what the question is, but yeah, no, I like it a lot. But I feel like I'm gonna end up saying that for most, if not all, of the Miss Marvel comments, because I really like the G. Willow Wilson Miss Marvel series. I think it's really solid. And of the problems that I have with it, they're all tied up in stuff that's out of G. Willow Wilson's control, honestly. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Josiah Haynes says, what do you think is the best thing Geoff Johns has ever written? The Flash. Just hands down, The Flash. The Flash is Geoff Johns at his peak. I know some people would say JSA, but I haven't read all of JSA, so I don't know. But I really like The Flash. And I really like Infinite Crisis. My only problem with Infinite Crisis is that I don't think Geoff Johns knows how to write Wonder Woman, and that's a criticism that I have for every Wonder Woman thing that Geoff Johns has touched. Across mediums. Like, I don't think Geoff Johns gets that character at all. Which is weird because he finds different ways to approach the character, depending on what he's trying to do. It's just, I don't think it ever works. So, yeah. Yeah, no. Best Geoff Johns thing ever, Flash. But his first Flash run with Wally West. I don't like the Flash stuff that comes after, when like they bring back Barry Allen, and all that. I just don't know. I'm not a fan. Tevia says, new question. How do you feel about the What If Miles Morales series? Because for me, I feel like these What If stories feel lazy and unnecessary. Okay, the problem with the What If Miles Morales series, okay, just in general, is that one of the biggest legitimate criticisms that can be leveled against Miles Morales, and as far as the comics are concerned, is that Miles feels like a tacked on afterthought. You know, it feels like he's a token. It feels like he's just kind of there to be Spider-Man, but black and Afro-Latino, much rather. And I really think it's... I don't know who made this decision at Marvel, but clearly they're not reading the room. I don't think it's wise to take a character who is largely considered to just be the other, Spider-Man, the black Spider-Man, Spider-Man over there, and say, what if we did a whole series where we made Wolverine, but he's just it's the other Wolverine. It's the black Wolverine. It's Wolverine alternative. It's Wolverine Brown. Or like, what if we did Thor Brown? Or insert Marvel character here, Brown. Miles Morales is that really not reading the room here. Like, you should maybe focus on building Miles Morales as a character that can stand on his own 2 feet first before you do this. Or maybe just don't do this at all, because it's a bad idea. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. But yeah, no, that's just how I feel about the whole What If series. I think that's really... cringe is putting it nicely. Trey Mickle. Hey, what's up, Trey? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Trey says Captain America's biggest villain in his entire rogues gallery is his second guessing of believing in America. I understood that reference. And Marvel Comics, who seems to hate him as well. No, I definitely agree with that. Although I think that also brings up the third greatest Captain America villain, who is a threat to superhero comics as a whole, which is lazy derivative storytelling, because nobody has anything to say with these characters beyond just playing with the toys, because some editor said that they get to play with the toys and fulfill their fan fiction now. I think that's the real problem that Captain America has, and why we just keep going back to that well of, who was it, Jim Steranko, who did the original Secret Empire in like 1974 or 1975? Nomad's an old ass idea, man. Like, we really gotta, like, I get it. I really get it. America has done a lot of bad things, like, this is a country that was founded on a set of principles and values that maybe definitely 100% were not honored. Because it's hard to honor those particular values when you're trying to build an empire, if we're just going to keep it a buck. And I think it's a really good story idea to kind of play with Captain America being this, like, paragon of, like, American values and American iconography, and have him kind of look back on what America kind of is beneath the surface and be like completely repulsed by that. I think that's a good idea. The problem is we've seen it already. It's old. I don't need to see Captain America question, the value of the flag. Like I've seen that before. It's been done. I know that other writers have things to say about that idea. The problem is I don't care. So do something else. Thank you. Tevia says, why do they hate Captain America? It's not that they hate Captain America, they just don't know what to do with Captain America. That's the problem. Supreme Omega, I feel Mark Grunwald really upgraded Captain America's Rogues Gallery with Crossbones and Flag Smasher. Those are Mark Grunwald characters, aren't they? Yeah, no. Now Captain America has some good villains. It's just, like the question was inferring earlier. Captain America villains versus Flash villains. Flash villains win every time. Tevia says, Superior Spider-Man Doc Ock feels like the Punisher. Well, you'd be dead right in that assumption. Supreme Omega, Batman question. How do you feel about the modern criticisms of The Dark Knight Returns in that it has fascist leanings? Do you agree or disagree? Yes. Dark Knight Returns is weird. I think the superficially analytical takeaway is, oh my god, the Dark Knight is fascist because like Batman is like he's doesn't regard like people's civil liberties and like he's a vigilante billionaire. Oh my god, it's fascist. His name's in the title, so he's the protagonist, and protagonist is like the hero, and it's a superhero, so it's fascist. But digging a little deeper than that, I also feel like the way in which Frank Miller was telling that story, Batman's not the hero of that tale. No one's really the hero of that tale. Dark Knight Returns is a story about how everyone sacrifices their values for the sake of a compromised vision of the American way. Because, according to Frank Miller, that's what America did. And Batman and Superman are characters that are being used as allegories for how Frank Miller sees the decay of the illusion of the American dream. That's really what Frank Miller's going for with that book. And I think when people focus on The Dark Knight Returns as like a Batman comic and like judge it as like a standard monthly Batman story, they're kind of missing the point of what The Dark Knight Returns is like actually about, which is, America. I don't know. So yeah, I've always, I don't resist the fascist reading of Dark Knight Returns from the perspective of Batman as a character, but I mean, Superman's also a fascist in that comic. Ronald Reagan is obviously Ronald Reagan. Like, I don't know. It's just, that comic's very complicated, and I think when people just kind of boil it down to like, I got it, fascist. Well, then you're missing the point. That's how I feel, at least. I hope that answers your question. I hope that's a sufficient answer. Tevia, any opinion on All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison? Comparison to All-Star Batman and Robin, which isn't great. Well, I don't know. I think they're doing very different things. Grant Morrison, when they set out to do All-Star Superman with Frank Quietly, that story is very much evergreen Superman. Like, this is in the same way that like Batman the Animated Series is like the focal point for everyone to point to and go like, that's Batman. That is like everything that Batman is. That's what that show is. I think that's what All-Star Superman is. You know, All-Star Superman is, it's all of Superman. You know, just put into this one 12-issue series. So I do kind of take back what I said last week about how, you know, there's, in the same way that like Batman has like a singular like frame of reference that all Batman fans can kind of point to is like, no, that is Batman. You know, like everything about Batman that makes Batman cool is in that show. I think Superman does have an equivalent to that, and it's All-Star Superman. But to go back to answering your question, Tevia, I love that for Superman in regards to All-Star Superman, but when it comes to All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder by Frank Miller and Jim Lee, Frank's doing something different. Frank Miller, by the time you get to All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, it's 20 years removed from The Dark Knight Returns, and all of comics, like all of superhero comics, have taken heavy cues from The Dark Knight Returns. Most of them missing the point of Dark Knight Returns, just kind of like mindlessly ripping off the aesthetic. And in the case of Batman, in particular, everyone just kind of looked at Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns Batman and just made that the standard default for Batman, which is kind of frustrating because Frank Miller is intentionally saying with Dark Knight Returns that is not what Batman is supposed to be ideally. So taking the monthly standard ideal Batman and just making him Dark Knight Returns Batman is a problem. So the way I've always read All-Star Batman and Robin is that Frank is writing a parody of what Batman has turned into over the past 20 years, or I guess then 20 years. And for that, I've always really enjoyed All-Star Batman and Robin. I also enjoy it because it feels like not only Frank commenting on what Batman's turned into since The Dark Knight Returns, but just as a story, it feels like this is Batman through Dick Grayson's eyes. You know, this kid sees Batman as like a total lunatic because he kind of is a total lunatic. And he's not cool. He's a try-hard. He's kind of lame, honestly, for being a try-hard. Which I also think is Frank Miller kind of, like, you know, taking this piss out of DC for what they've been doing to Batman for the past couple of years. So yeah, no, I quite enjoy All-Star Batman and Robin by Frank Miller. And I hope that answers your question. So Primo Omega, also, on Norman Osborn, I dislike Marvel trying to make him Spider-Man's Lex Luthor. Ever since his revival, yes. Cause if you read the Silver Age stuff, Norman is not some genius mastermind. He's a pathetic man. Exactly. Like all of Spider-Man's rogues gallery. But I think the problem that Spider-Man's had for the past couple of years, or really the past couple of decades, is that writers have unintentionally turned Spider-Man into Superman. And a lot of Spider-Man's rogues gallery has been adapted to suit the new style in which Spider-Man stories are told. So I don't know. That's where you get, Lex Luthor, Norman Osborn from. It's a lot of creators, and I hate saying this, but there's no other way to say it, so I'm just not going to sugarcoat it. I don't think a lot of writers and artists and editors understand what Spider-Man is, or at the very least, I don't think a lot of contemporary comic creators understand the point of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not a high-flying superhero. Spider-Man is not Superman. Spider-Man is a soap opera with a revolving door cast of characters who all either represent a facet of Peter Parker and his life, or they represent a dark mirror for what Peter Parker could be. Norman Osborn is a dark mirror for what Peter Parker could be. Norman is Peter if Peter grew up and retained a lot of those toxic traits of being a very intelligent man, but still being hung up on power and not having enough power, and feeling the need to take over the mob because everybody wants to rule the world. So yeah, that's what Norman Osborn represents. That's what Norman Osborn is. But now Norman Osborn's been turned into a weird hybrid of Lex Luthor and the Joker. Because we don't write Spider-Man as a soap opera. We just write him as baby Superman. I hate saying those words out loud. But yeah, I don't know. Tevia, Hunter Zolomon fighting Superman, fighting the Superman family and messing with Clark and John's past would be really interesting. Yeah, I agree. That'd be pretty cool. I can definitely see that being something that's played with. Tristan, Mystical Green Beanie. What would you think of a Ghostmaker Clown Hunter comic series, which will be about Ghostmaker training Clown Hunter and fight the new bad guys? It could even lead to a brother bond between these two. Well, I don't know much about these characters because I haven't read the James Tynion Batman run. Nothing against James Tynion. I really like his run of Detective Comics. I read everything up to the end of Joker War, and I said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm good. So I never got introduced to Ghostmaker and Clown Hunter and all these characters. I just didn't care. Maybe in the future, though. Maybe in the future. Trey McKell says the New Age of Heroes was actually good. All of them. Well, I'm glad that you spent money on those comics and put money in those creators' pockets. Yeah. I liked Sideways. And I'll leave it at that. Tevia says the only good tie-in to War for Earth 3 was the Wally West Flash book. Okay. Mostly because it had nothing to do with the War on Earth 3. Well, first of all, I didn't know that the Flash was tying into the War for Earth 3. But, second, okay. I'm indifferent. I'm sorry. And Tevi says Silencer. Oh, it's probably talking about the other books that they read from the Age of Heroes. Yeah, Silencer I heard was really good. Um. Also, this is from Supreme Omega. Also, on Spider-Man, the true criminal masterminds will be Doc Ock and Roderick Kingsley, aka the one true Hobgoblin. I see you're a man of culture as well. uh, okay, that's everyone saying they can hear me from earlier. Okay, sweet. Trey McKell says the Milestone books, the new ones suck. Yeah, I haven't had the heart to say that out loud, but they do. Just what a missed opportunity, man. This was one of those, like, Murphy's Law situations where everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, and, damn. Just, that's all I got. Damn. They really messed up Milestone. That's sad. Tristan says, yesterday, I found the first 4 issues of Static Season 1, but didn't get them. Gonna wait later. Yeah, you definitely can wait later. Tevia says, I am tired of Doc Ock being everywhere in Spider-Man. He needs to go away. I really feel like the big problem with Spider-Man comics right now is that people are focusing on the villains and the superhero aspect of Peter Parker's life more than they're focusing on, like, the relationship drama stuff, which is what I think you should be focusing on for Spider-Man, because that's what Spider-Man is. It's a soap opera. Oof. Trey says, true, Doc Ock's been aggravating, yeah. Supreme Omega, also on Milestone, thoughts on Icon, aka Black Conservative Superman? Because to me, I find his sidekick Rocket more likable and relatable. Well, that's the point of Rocket, you know? Rocket is the POV character, largely, for, at least as far as the old Icon and Rocket series is concerned. You know, where you have Icon kind of representing what people largely and popularly believe what Superman is, as like the hyper conservative, like, fatherly hero, but you know, have the twist be that, like, he's a wealthy black man. I think that's really fascinating, and that's something that, granted, I haven't read the modern Icon and Rocket series, but I'd be very surprised if they keep that. Because I think that dynamic is fascinating. I love it a lot. Earth 1610. Comic book fans. If it's not my idealized version of Marvel and DC, then everything else is BS. Yeah, you see that a lot in comic book discourse these days. You also see a lot of, like, weird grandstanding and moralizing for characters. Like, I'm not sure if any of you guys, like, are on Twitter or, like, follow me on Twitter or whatever, which, by the way, this is the plug. Follow me on Twitter. If you're on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, don't get on Twitter. It's a hell site of bad hot takes and people just being stupid. Which, speaking of which, Uh, on Twitter yesterday, like last night, I got into trouble, like Twitter trouble, because some guy, like, was talking about the Judas Contract animated movie, and they pulled up some screenshots of Tara wearing a nightgown hanging off of Deathstroke's shoulder, like, "Oh, Daddy, let me give you a massage." And they were like, "Oh, this is creepy and gross," and Deathstroke is just a bad guy. And I quote tweeted him, or them, much rather. I don't know who they are, so I quote tweeted them with like a snarky tweet going like, "This just in. Bad guy does bad things." And a lot of people on Twitter, to my surprise, they were like, "How dare you say that? What's wrong with you?" And I was very confused. Like, what did I say? What did I say that's wrong? Like, Deathstroke's a bad guy. He's an international assassin who is obsessed with killing children and has probably committed several war crimes over his tenure. So, like, yeah, he's a bad guy. Deathstroke is he's a bad guy. You know, I thought the pedophilia was just the icing on the cake. But apparently everyone was like, you know, pointing out that bad guy does bad things is like a defense of pedophilia. I don't know. It was really stupid. Comic book Twitter's really kind of dumb. And filled with like just a lot of vapid takes. So if you're not on Twitter, you're not missing much. But if you're black-pilled, well then Twitter is just, it's a candy land of everything that you believe is wrong with humanity, just proving itself before your eyes. So, yeah, no, great. Let's see. Tevia says, "The Ultimate Spider-Man show butchered my favorite character, Spider-Girl, Mayday Parker, by not doing Spider-Girl, but a gender-swapped version, which is just infuriating." Is that what they did? That's kind of lame. Yeah, I agree. That does sound very lame. Trey McKell says, "They didn't butcher her since they never used her, since there is a gender-bent Peter Parker in the world." Oh, okay. So if that's what they did, then I think that's fine. As long as they didn't have like the Mayday Parker outfit on her, then I don't know. But I can't say anything because I haven't seen the show. I haven't got the context to properly give an opinion, or like an informed opinion. Tevia says, "I really liked Infinite Crisis as well." Yeah, man, I love Infinite Crisis. I think it's a really good comic, and I think it's a great sequel. Like, Infinite Crisis is the best way to do a decades later sequel to a comic book. Really good stuff. Trey McKell says his Green Lantern run is the best work Jeff Johns has ever done. I hear that a lot. I'm just not inherently a Green Lantern guy. I don't know what it is. It's weird. I love Cosmic. Like, I love the Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning Guardians of the Galaxy series. And I also really like New Gods. So you'd think Green Lantern is just right up my alley, but no. Weird. I also love Star Wars. So, like, I should love... alright, screw it. I'm just gonna put some money down and start checking out the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run. Does that start with Green Lantern Rebirth? Like the one from like 2004, 2005 or whatever? Actually, it might be 2003 because if I recall, Hal Jordan is in the Brad Meltzer Justice League run, which starts in 2005, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I'll check that out. Supreme Omega, on Civil War 2, Miss Marvel, how do you feel about Kamala and Bruno's bitter argument in Civil War 2? Do you sympathize or agree with Kamala or Bruno? I feel like Bruno was being a jerk and blaming Kamala for his injuries. Well, no, I agree with Bruno. In fact, I think that's the story that solidifies Bruno as his own character outside of just being Kamala's love interest. He's a character with agency, you know. He's a character with principles, and I like that he doesn't fall in line. I quite like that. And it also further serves Kamala's journey into her fading hero worship, where she stops deifying the superheroes of the Marvel Universe because she starts to see them for how they actually are, as opposed to how she's engaged with them in the media. I like that a lot. So, to answer your question, I'm on Bruno's side. I think Bruno is 100% right in that whole situation. Earth 1610, my favorite Marvel and DC comics, the modern age of comics, 1985 onwards, but particularly Marvel post-Secret Wars, 1985 to 2012, and the pre-Marvel Now reboot and post-DC Crisis, which is 1985 to 2011, and that's the pre-New 52 reboot era. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people feel the same way. And those eras are like insanely popular for a reason. Like, a lot of great comics came out in the 80s. And I hear people say that, like, people who say that are just being nostalgia blind, but, like, I wasn't born in the 80s. I was born way after the 80s. But in going back and reading 80s comics, I can definitely see why, particularly with Marvel, everybody from age 8 to 28 was reading Marvel comics and loving them. Absolutely great stuff. Very layered, very complex, while also managing to be accessible to a wide audience. No, just great stuff. I really like a lot of the Marvel stuff from the 80s. And I'm glad that in a lot of ways Marvel is kind of going back to that. So yeah. Davia says, except Marvel technically never rebooted. Well, they kind of rebooted after Secret Wars, but it was like one of those like half reboot things. It was like a medium boot. Like, it didn't fully reboot. It just kind of, they didn't New 52 it. It was more like they Infinite Crisis it. Where, like, Infinite Crisis is a reboot, but the changes made to continuity are like so minor, it's practically inconsequential. Earth 1610 says Marvel has rebooted and retconned as much as DC has at this point. Yeah, they definitely have. Tevia says, don't remind me about One More Day. I'm still pissed about that terrible retcon reboot of Spider-Man. Yeah. I don't think I've said this before, or maybe I have. But if I haven't, I'm going to say it here. I'm in the minority. I don't immediately hate the idea behind One More Day. I think taking Peter Parker and putting him in a situation where he and MJ for the past, like, what was it at that point in like 2007? Have they been married for 17 years? 18 years? in the real world. Like in Marvel Comics time, they were probably married for like 3 or 4 years. Actually, no, they were probably married for a little longer than that because Peter was the teaching assistant in that era. He would have been like, what, 22? When they got married, 1984? So, if we're going off of like what Straczynski's talking about, where Peter's like a 30-year-old man, Peter and MJ were married for like close to 10 years. Okay, yeah, no, I like that. So, the idea behind One More Day, have Peter and MJ break up, and, now you have Peter going from being this, like, married man who married young, and has been married for, like, 8 years. What happens when you put him in a situation where him and his wife split, and now Peter is a 30-something who's single and, living with his Aunt May and kind of starting from zero again? I think that's a really interesting idea. It's just I don't think Dan Slott was the guy to do that. Which is something that I've talked about at length. Again, I don't hate Dan Slott, despite the fact that he's kind of a person. And a lot of the interactions that we've had. But yeah, no, I don't hate Dan Slott. I just don't think Dan Slott was right for Spider-Man. And also, I just don't inherently hate the idea behind One More Day. I think conceptually it's a really good idea, just not how they did it. In the whole character whose ultimate mantra is power, responsibility, and having them make a deal with the devil. Still blows my mind. Tevia says, technically Heroes Reborn was a reboot. Sorry that I'm yawning. I don't know why. I woke up late as hell this morning. But Tevia says, technically Heroes Reborn was, yes, a reboot. But that was only for the Avengers characters in the Fantastic Four. Kind of. The Fantastic Four didn't get rebooted with Heroes Reborn, I don't think. I think they just kind of continued doing Fantastic Four stuff within the Heroes Reborn universe, but it was the classic Fantastic Four. They'd just been like time displaced, and they were trying to like get to the bottom of, oh, we're in a new universe. Isn't that wacky, Sue? But honestly, the Heroes Reborn Avengers stuff is pretty solid in my opinion. It feels like Ultimates pre-Ultimates. I think it's really interesting. I like it a lot. So yeah. Supreme Omega. Another Miss Marvel question. Thoughts on Bruno and Mike, aka the blue-haired girl with the 2 moms? I feel like they have a more natural romantic chemistry compared to Kamala and Bruno. Well, it's one of those things where I like Bruno and Mike, but I also feel like that relationship was written to be like intentionally, that's not gonna last. It's a cute little experimental thing, but like that's not that. Yeah, no. I always read it as like a punishment for Kamala. Not punishment, but it's like one of those trade-offs of Kamala being dedicated to being a superhero. She loses sight of her life socially, and that's her not being able to have Bruno. But now that Bruno's kind of like in her life more as a superhero, well then, that's when they come together. That's how I read that, but I don't know. Tevia says, I don't remember Kurt Busiek's Avengers Forever run. I've actually never read Avengers Forever. I heard it was really good. My buddy Jack Genocide has been on the show before. He's been trying to get me to read it. I just haven't checked it out yet. But maybe I'll swing by his house and like hang out with him and steal it from him by trading him another comic for it. I have some stuff that he hasn't read. He still hasn't read the Ultimate, so which I think is like right up his alley. But yeah, no. I'll check out Avengers Forever at some point. Supreme Omega once again. One question about MCU Miss Marvel. How would you feel if the show tones down Zoe's bullying of Kamala? To me, that's doing a disservice to Zoe because it makes her character development and coming out less impactful. Well, I agree with everything you just said. I really would like Zoe to be that quintessential kind of like Mean Girls character. Although if she isn't, I could totally see MCU fans like coming to the show's defense saying, well, no, like, it's like totally, people don't bully like that anymore. Just like with Flash Thompson, and it's like, oh, you clearly didn't go to public school. And congratulations to you. But yeah, no, people like comic book Flash Thompson definitely still exist. And people like Zoe, or at the very least how Zoe used to behave at the beginning of the G. Willow Wilson series, definitely exist in high school, like, still. So, I don't know. That would really suck. But, honestly, I'm not getting my hopes up for the MCU, like, Disney Plus shows anymore. Like, I enjoyed the first 3 episodes of WandaVision, and then it kept going. And it wound up being like Wizards of Waverly. Fucking whatever, man. So yeah, I like the first half of WandaVision, but it falls apart in the end. Captain America: Winter Soldier is really cringy, and I don't like it at all. Well, no. I like the action sequences. I think the action's really good. It's just, I think the show on a whole, it's very cringy. And very clunky. It is, in a lot of ways, the dumb version of Captain America: The Winter Soldier from, like, 2014. This show is that, but, like, dumb. I genuinely like Loki for the most part, though. That last episode I feel was unnecessary, and felt like it was just kind of tacked on at the very end of production, just to, like, you know, advertise, oh, Kang the Conqueror, he's gonna be the next big Marvel thing, Kang the Conqueror, temporal multiverse, it's madness. I think that's why that last episode is the way it is. But yeah, no, for the most part, I like Loki, but the ending falls apart for me. What's the other Disney Plus show? Oh, I didn't like Hawkeye. I felt like Hawkeye was just, let's take the most superficial aspects of Ultimate Hawkeye and the most superficial aspects of Matt Fraction and David Ayer's Hawkeye and fuse them together and just make a very hollow show. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. There's definitely some good stuff there. I like that idea of, Clint being uncomfortable with the spectacle of being a superhero. I think that's really interesting. But, like, everything else, I just... And, oh, look, the Kingpin is there. But, like, in this, like, very kind of dark story about, like... being the worst version of yourself and murder. What if we just have the Kingpin show up and he's a 1980s like Marvel Comics special version of the Kingpin where he's like super strong and survives explosions and what? Nah, dude, it was silly. It was very dumb, and I just didn't. I didn't like the Hawkeye show, yeah, that's why when it comes to Miss Marvel and Moon Knight, especially Moon Knight, I just don't have high standards, and I'm probably just not gonna see them. If I watch like 1 or 2 episodes and I don't like it, I'm just not gonna finish it. I don't really have that like completionist mindset anymore. If I don't like it, I'm not gonna see it. I'm not gonna finish it. Oh well. Let's see. Trey says, gross. Not All-Star Batman and Robin. Yes. All-Star Batman and Robin. I like All-Star Batman and Robin. I think it's a really good parody of. I think I like it as Frank Miller making fun of his impact on Batman. I like it a lot. Earth 1610. JMS wanted to bring back Gwen Stacy as a villain and have Peter as the father to her kids. Yeah, that's the thing that JMS wanted to do. In a way, sometimes I think of that, and Sins Past, as we have it, doesn't seem that bad. So, there's that. Trey says, I talked to some of the artists and writers at Milestone and didn't really think that they were reply, but I was telling them how this new direction that you're going with Milestone isn't going to work. Well, I hope they listen because it isn't going to work. It's not evergreen, it doesn't work. Part of the beauty of Milestone originally, again, from what I've been told, theoretically, hypothetically, because I haven't read those comics because they're not available in a wide print distribution fashion. Theoretically, hypothetically, I would say if I did read them, is that the big thing that worked for Milestone is that it took characters in like uncomfortably real situations and applied superhero comics like physics and sensibilities to those real world scenarios. And I think it worked very well. And just the modern Milestone series doesn't have that. You know who the good guys are, you know who the bad guys are, and the good guys are like 100% good and the bad guys are like 100% bad. And it feels like parody. It just doesn't feel like Milestone at all. Looks like I got lost a little bit. It's fine, whatever. Trey says Jeff Johns' run is amazing as well. Oh, you're talking about for JSA? Yeah, I haven't read it all the way through, but yeah, I like what I've read. Supreme Omega. Do you feel the reason why Marvel Cosmic is seen as better than DC Cosmic is because Marvel Cosmic can be really weird and psychedelic with works by Steve Englehart, Jim Starlin, and Abnett and Lanning? Well, yes and no. I think the big thing that works for Marvel Cosmic is the big thing that works for Marvel Street Level, which is the big thing that works for Marvel Earthbound International. And it's that Marvel characters operate very much like D&D set pieces. There are classes, there are categories, and each of these characters kind of fit in a category or a class, and everyone has a piece, and everyone plays a specific role in the larger Marvel Universe because the Marvel Universe was thought of as a universe. And DC doesn't have that. Now, this is one of those things where, again, DC's greatest strength is their greatest weakness. The DC Universe is nowhere near as intricately thought out as the Marvel Universe is because the DC Universe was never really conceived of originally as a universe. That's why you'll have, Batman going on these grand cosmic adventures. Meanwhile, Superman is, trying to bust up organized crime. What? Shouldn't that be reversed? Or it'll be situations where Wonder Woman's going off to another dimension to fight this science fiction threat. Meanwhile, the Flash has to battle the constructs of magic, and the ancient gods. Ooh-wee, mamas, ooh-wee, pow. Again, shouldn't those roles be reversed? Well, ideally, iconically, but DC characters are so versatile you can kind of just put them anywhere. You can have a story where I don't know, who's a DC character? Who we got over here? Cyborg, right? Cyborg. You throw him in a big cosmic setting and it's totally fine. Just like you can put Cyborg in an urban setting where he's trying to bust up gangsters and crime lords. Or same with Superman, put Superman in a grand cosmic setting where he's fighting, these cosmic alien tyrants and eldritch gods and monsters. But also Intergang is a thing, and the Battalion of Doom is a thing, and all these other organized crime and terrorist outfits are things that exist for Superman to fight. Because DC characters aren't bound to a set category. DC characters aren't easy to categorize. And for that reason, that's why it's weird. It's very weird. I hesitate to say that Marvel is better at cosmic than DC. It's just the Marvel cosmic landscape is more defined than DC's because the Marvel universe is more defined than DC's universe is. I hope that answers your question, but I don't know. I feel like I'm saying I don't know after every question I answer. I should probably wrap this up soon too because I'm starting to fade. I'm starting to fade pretty hard. Let's see. Where did I stop off? Damn it, I don't know where I was. Okay, well, unfortunately, I'm gonna be skipping over a bunch of questions because I don't know where I am. I should be wearing my glasses, but I'm just not. They make my face look weird, and I don't like wearing them. Yeah, I am one of those people. I would rather like strain my eyes than put on my goddamn glasses because they make my face look weird. I don't like it. Maybe I'll wear them next week. I don't know. Okay, so I'll just go to another question. Or you know what? Hold on. Before I stop this, like in the stream, that is, I did get one last comic, and I did want to highlight it, and it is Action Comics, War World Rising. This is Volume 1 of Philip Kennedy Johnson's run on Action Comics. Really good series. I read through some of this as it was coming out in single issues, but I got a chance to read through this entire thing, just cover to cover, on the train earlier, and it's just magnificent. Philip Kennedy Johnson is, as far as I'm concerned, the de facto Superman writer for the modern era. He's fantastic. Also, the art in this is fantastic. Let me see, like, Daniel Sharp and Christian Deuce, really good, but also, and very importantly, Adriano Lucas on the colors. Like, yo, this is like breathtaking. Like, genuinely beautiful stuff. Like, just look at this, too. Bro, come on. You can't sit there and tell me that this doesn't look like pure sex. It's absolutely beautiful. It's breathtaking. Like, come on. Come on. I saw a video earlier by a YouTuber named Perch. And Perch was, like, dead on the money, I feel, in what I saw of the video. I didn't finish the video. I only got, like, the first 5 minutes in before I had to get up and do stuff. Yeah, no, like, it really sucks that, like, this comic isn't selling well. Or at the very least, it's not doing Batman numbers. Because I think this deserves to do Batman numbers. This comic is great. Legitimately, in my opinion, the best DC comic coming out right now. And I don't know what else to say beyond that. Legitimately one of the best the best DC comic coming out right now. And legitimately one of the best superhero comics coming out right now. Like, as far as I'm concerned, this and Christopher Cantwell and Cafu's Iron Man, two best superhero comics coming out right now. So yeah. Let's see. Trey says, dance a lot on Spider-Man. Dance a lot. Nice. Dance a lot on Spider-Man was just too long, and it was too bloated, and it just wasn't as interesting as it could have been. It was just like one event to the other, till he was ready to leave. Yeah. That's a big problem that I have. That's one of the big problems I have with Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man. But, yeah. Tevia says, I maintain Aunt May should have died in one more day. I agree. I think Aunt May dying in one more day would have worked very well. I also think Aunt May should have died in Amazing Spider-Man 400, but that's just me. Trey, the fact that one more day is even brought up, and Peter and Mary Jane Watson's marriage was an issue anyways, because Superman and Lois can be married for damn near 60 years, and MJ and Peter can too. I don't think I understood what you were saying completely, but I agree with the little bits and pieces that I was able to piece together. Tevye says, indeed, also Superman and Lois Lane has their son John Samuel Kent, Superboy, who was his 10-year-old little self and was still a hero, so why can't Spider-Man have the same thing? Well, Spider-Man and Superman are very different characters, I feel. Personally, I feel like with Peter Parker being such a grounded person, if he ever did settle down and get married and have a child, I doubt he would allow them to be a superhero in the same way that like Superman would allow John to be Superboy. I don't know. The characters are the nuances are different there. Tevye says I'm going to bed. Oh, good night, Tevye. Take care, man. Yeah, I'm about to do that soon too. Earth 1610, the original One More Day idea was a time travel story that would have gotten rid of 37 years of history instead of 21 years of history. If Peter saves Harry from drugs, Gwen never dies, Harry and MJ never break up, etc., etc. Yeah, and since, okay, JMS is really good at writing science fiction and really good at lore, I don't know why Marvel didn't just go with what JMS was going to, kind of try to do. I don't know why Joe Quesada came in and was like, magic! You're just gonna magic everything away, and everyone's gonna love it because it's magic. That still puzzles me. I don't know what Joe Quesada was thinking there, but Trey says, but the problem with that is that you have people that's in charge of Marvel trying to say that they don't like Peter being married, but the fans do, so let's make a convoluted story to break it up. Yeah, that's kind of lame. And by kind of lame, I mean very lame. Hey, Earth 1610, dial it back. Let's play nice. Let's be cool here. Trey says, way to shoot yourself in the foot while you had something that your actual customer base liked, and all the customer base really liked, and that was Peter and MJ together. You know what? Let's break that up. What the fuck? Yeah, no, I just don't, that was a fan decision. That was a fanboy decision, not really like a smart business decision. Especially because, there were a lot of people that were getting reacquainted with Peter and MJ in pop culture because the Raimi films were at their all-time high at that moment. I just don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand at all. There being any logical reason for that. It's just weird and dumb. Tevye says, I'm still mad they got rid of the Spider-Man marriage, but at least it had consequences when you make a deal with the devil the lazy way. I think I read that wrong, but I think I understand what you're trying to go for. Yeah, no, I agree. That's my big problem with One More Day. You want to get rid of the marriage? That's fine. You want to have Peter and MJ break up and not talk to each other. Okay, sure, whatever. You don't get the one superhero. Literally, his whole thing is responsibility, and make him have a deal with the devil. That's the problem with One More Day for me. That is the problem. Just wow. Way to not understand your own character there. Wow. And Tevya asked, any opinion on the Moon Knight show? It looks like a Disney Plus series. It's unfortunate. The more I see of it, the less I care to watch it. Yeah, no, I don't think I'll be the target demographic, and that's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Unless I'm told it's really good, I'm just not gonna watch it. Because going off the pattern of these Disney Plus shows, I just don't see a point in like going back to them when I often just don't like them because I think they're bad stories, or I don't like the ending of a show that I think is otherwise really good, but it's just soured by like an ending I don't like. I don't know. That's just how I feel. Like, I'm not even cautiously optimistic. Just I'm cautiously indifferent. Like, yeah. Earth 1610. I don't know how Moon Knight will do. They literally made Moon Knight's Stephen Grant personality into a broke everyman type when he's supposed to be a rich playboy. I didn't even think of that. I must have missed that in one of the trailers. Yep. Supreme Omega. It's kind of sad that Miles' only memorable friend is Genk. Yeah. Well, don't worry. There's also Bombshell, who started out as a Peter Parker character, and Cloak and Dagger, and also Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman, who started out as a Peter Parker character, and Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane Watson, who started out as Peter Parker characters. Miles doesn't have the best of luck when it comes to supporting cast characters. Yeah. Earth 1610 says Milestones feels dead. I miss Dwayne McDuffie, rest in peace. Yeah, in a lot of ways I feel like Dwayne McDuffie just kind of took the Milestone universe with him to the grave, because it just hasn't been the same ever since. And Tevye says, good night. Hey, good night, buddy. But you're still here, so I don't know. Did you go to bed? Yeah, I don't know. Tevye says, before I go, I do have one question about One More Day. How would you retcon One More Day, and would you address the deal with Mephisto and have Peter and Mary Jane have a daughter, Mayday, alive and kicking? Well, I wouldn't have Mayday alive and kicking, but I like how Nick Spencer handled that whole thing in its entirety. I think it's really good. I think Nick Spencer did a great job in like approaching the how would you say, the One More Day problem, the Mephisto problem, and like making it work. So yeah. And Supreme Omega says, Another reason why I would hate the MCU toning down Zoe's Mean Girl mask, because in hindsight her bullying is more sad due to her fear of being gay and her fear of being attracted to a brown girl like Nakia. Kind of exactly. Again, I would really like it if they didn't tone down some of that stuff, but I have a strong suspicion that they might. And then Supreme goes on to say, another reason why I would... no, never mind, I'm sorry. That you did not say anything else after that. It's Tevye, who I thought went to bed, but I guess still here. What's up, Tevye? How you doing, buddy? I know, but Marvel put us on this position, so how do you get off of it? Oh, you're talking about the... One More Day? I don't know. I legitimately don't know. Supreme Omega, instead of magical deal like Mephisto, how would you feel with Pete and MJ divorced and Aunt May dead because depressed divorced Peter is a cool idea? Well, that's why I like Into the Spider-Verse so much. Into the Spider-Verse does for Peter Parker what I wanted the comics to do with Peter Parker, which is grow him up and have Peter be like a bitter 30-something man. That's the Spider-Man that I'm interested to see. You know, the Spider-Man who's like a novelty act of New York in the same way that like the Giant Rat is like a novelty act in the real world version of New York. And Pete's very like anxious about how he's like 35 and he's still doing the same shit that he was doing when he was 15. Again, great stuff. I really like a lot of JMS material. Just never stuck the landing, which is unfortunate. Earth 1610. Spider-Man and MJ should just get separation as usual. Public identity can get fixed with the Century Machine erasing everybody's memories, and Aunt May and get fixed by the super scientist of the Marvel Universe. Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that it's just a big problem. I think a lot of editors and creators overthink relationships. And I'm not going to sit here and try to like armchair psychiatrist a reason why, but one of the reasons seems pretty obvious. If we got to be honest with ourselves. Yeah, no. The Marvel Universe is like one of those weird places where like, how has nobody cured cancer yet? It's just one of those things. I don't know. Bizarre. Earth 1610. Imagine if they pulled a Clone Saga ending retcon on One More Day. Norman Osborn was behind the whole thing. That would be stupid, in my opinion. Tevye says, what makes a ton of sense? Oh, that makes a ton of sense. Sorry, my eyes are blurring. I'm tired. Supreme Alexander. No, Supreme Omega. And this is the last one that I'm doing. Then I'm gonna go to bed. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just dog ass tired. Says poor Sam Alexander, aka Nova. He never really got the same level of popularity like Miles and Kamala. Yeah, and that's a real shame. You know, I think a lot of the post Jeff Loeb Nova comics with Sam Alexander are really good. Is it Sean Hill? No, it's not Sean Hill. Damn. Can't remember the dude's name. But, yeah, no, his whole series on Uh, damn it. Nope. I lost it. I lost it. I had it, then I lost it. This is what happens when you try to record a video at like 2:30 in the morning. Your brain just takes things and just... You didn't need that. I'm like trying to go back to the question. I don't even like know what I'm looking at here. So, all right. Oh, Sam Alexander. Yeah, damn it. Who was the name of that guy? Let's see. I can't remember this guy's name. It had an S in it though. Yes, I am looking up the writer for the Suicide Squad series. Damn, it had like Daniel West in it too. That was like the new Suicide Squad run, right? Sean Ryan. Yeah, Sean Ryan. Okay, so Sean Ryan did a really good run on Nova, and I really enjoyed it. And Sean Ryan's also the guy who brought back Dick Ryder. So yeah, no, I like that Sean Ryan run a lot. It's just a damn shame that yeah, it's just it's a real shame that Nova just never reached the same heights in popularity as Kamala and Miles. It's a shame. Supreme Omega Jerry Duggan? No. I don't think Jerry Duggan's ever written Nova. He is doing Guardians of the Galaxy though. So, well, no, I think Al Ewing's doing Guardians of the Galaxy, which is why I like that book a lot. It's really good. But yeah, no. We've been going for like 2 hours. It is 1:30 in the morning here. I love you guys. You're amazing. But I need to go to bed. Like I really gotta go to bed. I have an 11:30 morning class tomorrow. I can't. No. But thank you guys for being here so much. I very much appreciate doing these live streams for y'all. Again, sorry for starting late. That was my fuck up. I hurt my leg just being an idiot. And I'm glad you guys hung around and had the patience to wait an extra 30 minutes for me to start the show a little later. But yeah, guys, thank you very much. Again, if you are not subscribed but you like this content, if you like the stream, if you just kind of moseyed on in from the vast reaches of space and nowhere, from your laptop or desktop or your phone or whatever, hit the subscribe button. I do these every week, typically at 10:30, and I don't just talk about superhero comics. I talk about movies, comics. I said that already. I talk about movies and video games and TV shows as well. So, just try to cover the whole gambit. And if you like this stream, hit the like button if you haven't already. And yeah, as always, thank you guys very much for watching. As always, until next time, adios nachos, adios. Good night.